I'm Jackie.
And I'm Ashley. Welcome back to Dumb Witch Club.
Yay!
We're back.
I know yay isn't in the script, but we always say yay.
We do. We say yay because we're excited every time. That's super cute, I think.
It actually is. It's really nice. It's genuine.
And we're like, we're still here. Like, shocking, but we're still here, to fight another day. Aren't you excited about that? You don't know.
That's true. That's true.
That's mean to threaten, though.
No, I didn't take it that way. I
Okay,
just meant,
good.
like, you never know, like, you could die anytime.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant, but then I felt bad for them. Like, they're going to be like, that's
but
kind of like mean to say, I guess.
They know about death.
Well, yeah, I'm sure they do. Like, Okay, what are we doing? I don't know what this is.
Let's do a card pull.
Okay.
Do you want to do it? Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to do it? You can shuffle.
Okay, I'll do it.
All right.
So, I know this might seem unseasonable.
Unseasonable?
I don't know. I'm not a native speaker of English or anything. We're using the Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle deck.
OG.
It went with our color scheme, kind of.
Yeah, and it's just cute, and it's an OG deck that we have used, and we used it in our book club.
Yeah, and, can always be Halloween. And it's halfway to Halloween, just about, or roughly, right?
I love that. We just got to get through the hell that is summer.
Well, yeah, it's fine. Just no looking, no cheating, no looking.
No cheating. We talked all about that last week. We're not supposed to do that.
All right.
Because it's going to fly by anyway.
It will. It does.
Black Cat.
Ooh, I love that. What does it say?
I do too, and it's number 7, which is my favorite number. There's a curious journey into the depths of the unknown. Oh no, I know why we're getting this. Hidden so deep that only the brave... I know why we're getting this. That only the brave will gracefully return with light in their eyes and shadow leading home.
Literally.
This better be true because we better come out of it with light in the shadow leading us home.
Agree. So, yeah. I know it's all very
cryptic.
Yes, exactly. But we know.
We know what it means. We might share.
No, we will for sure. But I think we have to get through this first, and then we can share the entire saga.
Yeah, it's a thing.
It's a good one.
It's a good one. You're gonna love it. This is also mean, but I don't care. You're gonna love it. So just stay tuned.
Yeah, if you like ghosty, witchy stuff in real life, IRL.
Yes, if you like ghosty, paranormal-y stuff.
Yeah, if you like haunted houses.
Yeah.
Or at least spirits that haunt your house.
Yeah.
The house itself isn't haunted.
Right, exactly.
Anyways.
Yes.
Okay. Yay, black cat.
Black
Love
cat.
It. Also, as a proud owner of currently 2 black cats, it's such a good omen. So
It is.
Right.
I love it. Okay.
I love it too. Okay, let's talk about why, though.
Let's talk about why, though.
Why, though?
Okay, so we did a June energy report. I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, you should check that out. But, some of the things we talked about in the June energy report, they're going to be really of coming up. And if you did watch it, you're going to be like, well, wasn't it boring? Yeah, kind of still.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't boring.
No, we weren't boring.
But the report is boring.
The report is a little bit boring.
I think I said the word boring like 9 times.
Pretty much.
In 4 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which maybe that was boring for you. I'm sorry.
No, I don't think it was boring.
I thought it was very good when I listened to it back.
Yeah.
I was like, that was a good one.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. But, I mean, the stuff we're going to talk about is, kind of that stuff. And it's not that exciting. But June 17th, we have 2 kind of major things happening. What kind of major? I mean, whatever. Venus moving into Cancer.
That's major.
That's major. And, we love her.
My Venus is in Cancer.
I know.
So it's major for me.
That's your little soft spot.
It's the only one.
It's the only one in your entire chart. But what a one to have.
It is a good one to have, I think.
One.
And I really do think it helps, me as a human.
Yeah.
to, be a better person.
Yeah, I agree. It's a nice little soft landing place. So, so lean into that Venus and Cancer energy, trust how your body is feeling. Listen to your body. Really be in tune with that. Listen to your intuition. If you need to cry, cry. If you need to just drink tea and escape into Bridgerton, I don't know, do that.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I think it's a very, like, kind of low energy in a really nice way transition, you know, for Venus. Before, you know, then she's going to go into Leo and, like, all hell is going to be lit on fire. Yeah. Like, in the best way.
Yeah, we're going to love that.
I know.
So do the tea in the Bridgerton now, and then, you know, that will be something else.
And
yes.
Then, who knows what it's going to be.
Who knows?
Okay, I love it.
And then also our Mercury is going into Cancer. So, you know, that's also just, like, very nice. And, you know, you're just going to be talking a lot about what you love and telling people that you love them and sharing your feelings.
That's really sweet. And I also think, you know, like we say so often, but Mercury in Gemini is just so frenetic and so, it's just so much, so much observation. And let me tell you about this. And did you see that? And well, I saw that. And did you see, like, can you, yes, not. So Mercury in Cancer is going to give some of that not. It's going to give some of that, okay, let's just lovey love.
I know. I feel like Mercury in Gemini, too, is very gossipy.
It is. It's very gossipy, and it's very superficial, which doesn't necessarily mean anything bad.
No.
But it's just kind of like, oh, a little bit here, and oh, never, I'm going to walk away from that, and now I'm going to go do a little bit over here, and then I'm going to walk away from that. It's like, oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a lot. And I'm ready to step away from that energy for a bit as well and kind of just like lean into like, and Cancer is such a like a nostalgic sign too, which I really love. So it's like a good time to just like lean into the things that you know are comforting and nice and loving and sweet and, you know, not the like reality TV that you've been wrapped up in and you're like, what is she doing and what are they doing? Like, I feel like we're getting a little bit away from that, which is probably good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Just in the nick of time.
Yeah. And then we go into Cancer season officially on June 20th. So, you know, that's that. And then on the 21st, we have a full moon, but our full moon is in Capricorn. Yeah. So Capricorn's coming in to be like, yeah, you still need to like do stuff.
Well, you know, I mean, everything's been, and like Capricorn's very deep, right?
Very.
And so it's been all this like flitting around in Gemini, and then it's like moving into Cancer, like, ooh, la, la, la. And then, you know, like your Capricorn full moon is like, hi, what are you doing?
What are you doing exactly?
And like, you think we all can't see what you're doing?
Yeah, because we're going to shed light on all of that.
Because we can see it. And that's a really fast full moon because it's just Cancer season starts and then the next day is the full moon. So you're getting that reminder real quick.
Yeah, it's like, no.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
But no, I like it. I always like the full moon because it gives you that polarity, that opposition.
Yeah, and sometimes you really crave that energy, you know?
Well, yeah, especially with all the Gemini and all the Cancer.
Yeah, it's a lot, kind of.
Yeah.
It's a little bit just emotional, and one's emotional up here and one's emotional, like, down here, and...
Yeah, then you need that earth grounding Capricorn to come in and be like, don't get carried away.
Yeah, just like stay on your game, stay on your bag, don't let people like distract you. It's also squaring Neptune, and so I feel like it's going to be a very discerning full moon too of like, wait a second, like, is that real? Are you real? Are you lying?
See, and that's really good for all these signs, especially Venus going into Cancer, because Venus in Cancer can be like very idealistic and very like, oh, but this just is like feeling right. And it doesn't mean it is right.
Yeah, don't start thinking that your like situationship for the summer is like going to be the person that you marry. That's not a thing.
Probably not.
Probably not. And Capricorn full moon's here to be like, nah, bitch, not happening.
Not happening. Let that Leo man go.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yep. And then we are rounding out.
Oh, yeah. There's a big one at the end here.
Saturn is going into retrograde.
Yes. And we will be providing you with a survival guide for such during a witching hour very soon.
We will. So more on that later, but just be aware.
Yes. It's coming.
It's coming.
Yay. Okay. Is that why, though?
That's why, though.
Yay.
Time for Big Witch Energy.
Big Witch Energy. So we are doing this episode called Late Night Talking, and it's about the aspects.
Yes.
Yes, which you mentioned two of in Why Though?
I
You
did.
mentioned a square happening.
I did.
And a full moon is essentially an opposition.
Yeah.
So these are terms that are used a lot in astrology, but we really wanted to just kind of run down kind of the major ones of those.
Yeah.
Obviously define them like more specifically, clearly, and kind of talk about what they mean and what... I also kind of like focused slightly on what these could mean in your birth chart.
Yes, exactly.
As opposed to just when these things are happening, like on a why though kind of like, you know, whatever is happening in the sky basis.
Same. Yeah,
Awesome.
because I think that's a good place to begin. And I feel like this is another time we're mentioning our book club, but you know, that kind of engendered a lot of what is going on here. So
No, it has been coming up a lot lately.
it has.
Yeah.
Maybe the nostalgia.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Nostalgia season.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
probably why. Yeah, but we are like seminal text for the book club, and the one that was, you know, we were working through and everything was what was it? Astrology for yourself.
Astrology for yourself.
Astrology for yourself.
It's
Great.
like a workbook.
Amazing.
And it's very thorough. It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's very deep. It gets very complex, but
Yes.
if you take it step by step, it's extremely illuminating, and it focuses on you. And I think that Jackie and I both agreed, and that's why we chose that text, that is a really good way to kind of approach the study of astrology, is to really personalize it to you. What more do you want to learn about than yourself? And what do you know better than yourself? Nothing. So that works out perfectly.
Yeah.
And aspects can be really, that's when you start to get into complicated stuff with astrology, and they can be confusing. And so it's really helpful to look at them in terms of how they're filtered through who you are to start. And then you can kind of start looking outwards.
Yeah, definitely. Agreed. So in that, all that being said, let's get started.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, like, what is an aspect, I guess?
Oh, well, that is how we describe where planets are in relation to each other.
Yeah.
Or more specifically, where one planet or luminary is in relation to any other one.
Right. Yes, it's how they interact with each other. It's sometimes people say it's how they talk to each other.
And that's why it's called late night talking.
See what we did there?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, no, because when they, and these are all measured by degrees. So we'll be talking about degrees a little bit. And when their degrees are within these aspects close enough together, either exact or within a certain orb is what it's called, then that's considered, a conjunction or an opposition or whatever it is.
Right.
And they're kind of exchanging energies through these kind of aspect shapes that we're going to go over.
Exactly.
Which kind of changes the way the communication is happening or what the goal of the communication is.
Exactly.
And all of that is also influenced by whichever planet we're talking about at what signs are.
Yeah. So if you think about this in terms of your personal astrology, if you think about your birth chart as a wheel and it's 360 degrees, it's
Right.
the way the planets are sort of moving around that and the angles that they're making and the formations they're making as they, move across that. So, and yes, and like Jackie mentioned, it also matters, what sign the planet is in. So that's going to give you a lot of information. That's kind of the what. And then we have talked about houses. That's an important part of this too. We're not going to go into super detail on this because you can look at that. But that's part of it. That's kind of the where. And then the aspects are like the how is that happening part.
Yeah. No, exactly. So obviously we're going to try to keep this as simple as possible, even with all of that like big picture stuff being noted. We're going to keep it really to just defining the aspects, what they mean, how they're determined in terms of like numbers and but that was an amazing intro, so very good.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
What are we going to start with? We're going to start with a conjunction.
Let's start with conjunction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a conjunction is when two signs or two planets are in the same sign and within about 10 degrees of each other. So that's the orb. So it doesn't have to be exact. And when we're talking about degrees, when you get your birth chart and you get the, like analysis page, it'll have the degrees next to it. So you just look at those numbers. And if they're within 10 degrees of each other, most of the time conjunctions are in the same sign. Technically, you could have a conjunction crossing over from one sign to another, just depending, again, on those degrees.
Sure.
But that's going to kind of be like a very different version of it.
Totally.
Yes.
Yes, but yeah, that's when the planetary bodies are at the exact same point in the sky, so the energies of them are like more of just like a blend. It's like kind of same.
Yes, and they're kind of really together, harmonizing, but it really depends on what signs and what planets are involved. So, it can vary still. Just put that always out there. But I think a conjunction is generally very easy.
Yes.
It doesn't represent conflict. It's actually the opposite of that. In your birth chart, it can represent a lot of strength for you.
Yeah.
But it can also represent your blind spots.
Exactly.
Because it's like if we're standing here, we're both looking the same direction. Like I'm not looking at her, she's not looking at me. We're not looking around.
We're not looking back there. We're not,
Right.
Yeah,
so and as we'll contrast as we go on further, a conjunction, has like strengths and weaknesses within it too.
And I'm glad you said that, because a lot of things that you're going to encounter, a lot of like pop astrology type of stuff you're going to encounter, will reduce it down to these are good aspects and these are bad aspects.
Yeah.
And that is just simply too reductionary for what we're discussing. It is way more complex than that. And as we've said multiple times, nothing is inherently good or inherently bad. There's something to be learned from, each and every thing you encounter. But some of them are, like Jackie said, a little easier, right? A little softer. And then some are a little bit harder. So.
Yeah, and I will also just say, and I know I already said this, but I kind of want to give an example to emphasize it.
Yeah.
Just because two planets are in the same sign does not mean they are in conjunction. So, for example, I have a sun and moon both in Leo. They are in conjunction. They are within about 5 degrees of each other. My dad has a sun and moon both in Aquarius, but it is not a conjunction. One is like 1 degree and the other one's like 29 degrees, So just because the sign is the same doesn't make it a conjunction.
Yes, exactly. That's a good point.
And all that means is you're going to have, the same sign energy represented.
Yes.
But it's going to be less of a cohesive exchange between those two planets or luminaries.
That's right. Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. Perfect. Love that. Okay.
What do we have next?
Opposition.
Opposition.
That's when the planets are in the exact opposing positions in the sky from each other. And that is considered more of a challenging or more of a sort of, hard aspect, a little bit of like a face-off kind of deal.
Yes. And so, obviously, they're coming from opposite places. They're in opposite signs, which means they're in the polarity energies,
right.
Which... there's the challenge of these are opposite sides, but then there's sort of still this exchange and this cohesion of giving you two different perspectives on a lot of the same content.
Yes. Just like you said, just like Jackie mentioned before, a full moon is a commonly occurring opposition that comes up a lot just in general for everybody. That's not your specific birth chart, that's just kind of a general one, but that happens all the time. And it happens all the time. So if it were something that was so catastrophic or crazy or something like that, we would sense that way more, or it would feel worse. But it doesn't. Sometimes, like we were saying in the why though, like you need that. You sort of need that opposing viewpoint, or you need a reminder of, okay, this is all great, but like what about this, or don't forget about this. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing.
And I think that what you're challenged to do with oppositions is to find the balance, to find the resolution of that tension between the seeming opposite energies. And if you have oppositions in your birth chart, those are areas, and the areas of the house that those appear in your chart are places where you're going to maybe struggle with, but ultimately have to resolve finding balance and blending and integrating these kind of opposing energies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Opposition.
And also I'll just say, so as I'm going to mention for all of this, these orbs, the orb, which is kind of the degrees for how you determine exactly, if it qualifies as any of these aspects specifically, they're different. And depending on sort of the further away they are, the closer the degrees have to be for it to count. So in terms of an opposition, we want to go for like 9 to 7 degrees to be considered an opposition.
Yeah.
Not just if they're in the opposite signs, although they will take place in opposite signs.
Right. Beautiful. Okay, what's next?
What's next is a trine.
Yes, a trine.
Yes.
I feel like conjunction, people are like, okay, that word makes sense and I get it, right? And then opposition, okay, that word makes sense, just like in cognition, like it makes sense, I get it.
It's opposed of opposite. Okay, opposite. I got it.
Okay, got it. And then when we get to trine, I feel like that's where people are like, okay, what? Like,
Well, it still does make sense.
Still does, but I feel like that's where people kind of fall off, where they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, because it's just not a word that you hear.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a word, but
right.
It's really like, it's kind of like a triangle concept, right?
Yeah.
So these are like 120 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
This is a very, when people are separating the aspects into good and bad, this is considered a good one.
Yeah.
But that just means the energy is flowing easily.
Yeah. Usually planets that are trine are in the same element.
Correct.
So that is like an easy exchange of energy. Water, air. It kind of they get each other in like a deeper way.
Yeah, and in like a fundamental way,
Yes. And so there's harmony there in a trine. There's like harmony, there's like balance, like a triangle. There's like a good established kind of base, and like it can allow for like more to happen. It's a good harmonious,
Yeah, and just to even kind of clarify with that, yes, there is sort of this triangular kind of aspect to it, to the aspect, haha. But we're only just talking about 2 planets. We're not talking about 3 planets now. We're just still talking about 2 planets. So you can have a planet in Aries trining a planet in Leo.
Right.
And, that you have a planet in Leo with a trine to a planet in Sagittarius.
That's right.
But we're always just talking about how one planet relates to one other planet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. And now we have...
Wait, hold on.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Just trying to skip over trine.
No, I was just going to say, so in your birth chart, if you have trine aspects, what that means is these are going to be places where things come very naturally to you.
Yeah.
Where things are very effortless for you. And again, this can be neither negative nor positive, but can be both. Sometimes when we're naturally good at something, we don't value that in ourselves very much because it is easy. And sometimes other people value it in us more, which maybe we could learn from that, right? To value it in ourselves. Or maybe sometimes people get really celebrated for things that they don't work very hard at, they just happen to be good at.
Yeah.
And then that feels kind of interesting and weird. So, just if you have trine aspects in your chart, obviously you can do a deeper dive, take a look at that. But that's kind of what that could indicate.
Yeah, totally. I think with that elemental sharing, it is that kind of it just feels right. Like, just feels right. Just makes sense.
Yeah, and
don't even know why.
And there's not a lot of conflict. And so again, just to use myself as an example, I have a sun and moon in conjunction, and I have an Aries rising, and by degrees it's a trine with my sun and my moon. So like I have very little conflict about who I am.
Yeah.
I'm just like, yep.
Makes sense.
And someone's like, you're a this, and I'm like, uh-huh.
You're
Don't
like,
care.
yes, they have a conjunction and a trine.
Yeah, I'm just like,
I know.
Yeah, and it's easy for me to feel like that.
Yeah.
And I recognize it's not, and sometimes it isn't good that it's so easy for me either. But, but anyways, so just saying.
But recognizing it is part of that work, right? So
totally.
That's totally fine. You can't help that it is that,
No, and but that is how I kind of see that trine aspect actually showing up with myself, is I have very little conflict about my sun kind of core identity and my kind of presenting outward Aries rising. Right. It's all just very harmonious.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Love that for you.
Yeah, thanks. Me too. It's the most Leo shit I've ever said.
I know, right?
Okay, all right. And the degrees we're looking for with the trine is about 8 to 6 degrees. So a little closer. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
All right, now I'm ready.
Now we'll move on to squaring.
Oh, that's what you wanted to get to?
No, not really. It just was the next thing. So,
well,
but there we are. We're at squares.
Here we are.
Yeah. So squares are usually, okay, so trines are usually in the same element. Squares are usually in the same modality.
Right.
So that would be fixed, cardinal, or mutable. And if you don't know a whole lot about that, we have an episode on that too, so you can watch that. But a square, as you could probably guess, is a tougher, more challenging aspect to have.
Yes, and squares are going to be 90 degrees from each other.
Yeah.
And so you can also see, like, it's like that hard kind of hard turn, you know? And so I always think of it as they're like around the corner from each other. And they kind of like share a backyard wall.
Yes.
And they can hear each other's music playing really loud, but they have to like come all the way out and go around the corner to actually directly communicate and resolve the problem. And they don't really want to do that. So they just kind of yell down the street and like hope the other one can hear them.
A really good analogy. It's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the energy of that.
Of a square.
of a square, yeah. A lot of tension. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's negative. You need tension in order to have growth.
Yes, correct. There's a lot of energy or potential energy inside a square, in a square aspect. And it's kind of a matter of how that energy gets tapped and released. And again, which planets we're talking about, which signs they're in. As Ashley mentioned, they're in the same modality. And I think that also kind of lets you know why this is a challenging aspect.
Right.
Because you have like a fixed sign kind of starting to kind of butt up against another fixed sign.
And who's going to budge?
Yeah. Or, mutable and mutable. They're both kind of like,
I don't know.
They're kind of just doing the same thing and kind of like irritating each other a little bit with it. So
or cardinal signs that are like, no, you did it. No, you did it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you can kind of see how it kind of creates that. But there's so much potential in having squares in your chart.
Yeah, you need them. And when we're looking at the stage that all of this is taking place, just echoing back to the houses, looking at where this is occurring, at what, stages and arenas of your life that this is going on, whether that be like interpersonal relationships, the home, your job, your values, your spiritual practices, whatever it is. Looking at that and looking where those squares are taking place and really being honest with yourself and confronting like where you struggle to reconcile these things. That's the last thing you want to do. It's the worst thing ever, but it's one of the best things, because that is where you see your growth as a human being and where you are set up to be a dynamic human being that has something to contribute to other people and to society. If you were just all happy conjunctions and everything else, like there's nothing dynamic about that. We need more.
Yeah, like in literature we call that like a flat character.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't want to be a flat character. You want to be a dynamic heroess's journey main character, right? So, and I don't like the term heroine. That's why I didn't say it.
Yeah, I don't either.
So I said heroess, okay? Whatever.
I like heroess.
Sue me. It's not a real word. Actually, it is.
It's
and
cute.
I will sue you if you use it without my permission.
I'm her
This
lawyer.
is America. Anyways, just kidding. Use it if you like it. I like it. I think it's fun. So anyway, squares are huge opportunities for growth, and growth is not easy.
No, and it doesn't.
But we all should be doing it.
We should all be doing it. And again, when we're looking at this filtered through your birth chart is your entire life. It's everything about you. It's not just who you are when you were born, and that's just innately that, and it doesn't change, and that's just... It's a snapshot of everything that you are and are meant to be. And so these are things that carry on throughout. So it's not like, oh, I need to like examine these squares tomorrow and like make a list and make sure that if you have Virgo in your chart.
Yeah, I was just going to say, or a Capricorn, any earth sign, really.
I was like, I'm feeling
Sit
called
down,
out
you're
for
fine.
myself right now. I was like, ooh, where's that coming from? You don't have to do that. You're going to be doing that throughout your life. It's good to know these things, but it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, well, and that makes me think, and maybe at some point we will talk about progressed birth charts.
Oh, yeah.
And that can shed light into, like, maybe when you might actually be resolving any squares that you have in your chart. Because, anyways, whatever. That's a whole bag of worms that I just opened up. But, yeah, I think squares, people want to kind of simplify them into, like, oh, it's bad energy. It's so hard. But there's a ton of potential, and I think that's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not square like people say. That's square where it's like uncool.
No.
We're like redefining the term. Now it is cool.
Yeah.
Like if people are like, you're such a square, you're like, yeah, I know. Such a cool person.
Do people say that anymore?
Not at all.
No. I didn't think so.
Pretty much never.
Okay.
But they did at one point.
Like in the 50s.
Uh-huh.
A lot.
They definitely did in the
Back
50s. Yes. And so I'm not only redefining it, I'm also like bringing it back from the 50s, reintroducing it, then refuting it, and redefining it at the same time. That's what people like me do.
Doing the most. Give me yes. Amazing. Okay.
I do the most. It's Gemini season. Recognize.
So there's another kind of 8 to 6 degree orb that we're looking for, or smaller than that, to determine something's a square. Yep. So just to put that out there. The last one we're going over today is something called a sextile.
Ew, sextile. What does that mean?
Oh my God, I know.
Are we allowed to talk about that?
You better believe it. This sextile is like from the word six.
Oh.
So
Fine.
I know.
Fine.
Yeah, I know.
I guess we can talk about it.
I know. But hey, we do have a sex magic episode you can
We
watch
do.
if you want to know about the other stuff.
Sex magic, lust magic, we have it all.
Oh, we have quite a few, actually. It's kind of an issue. No, so what that is these are 60 degrees apart.
Yeah.
Which is basically every other sign sextiles every other sign. So it's not the one next to it. It's the one after that.
Right.
So, just to start with, Aries can sextile either, what's the one behind? Aquarius?
Yeah.
Or moving forward, Aries can sextile Gemini. Because it's skip one and then the next one is where the sextile happens. And that happens all the way around the entire wheel. Yeah. So anyways, all that really means is this is a very connecting, again, easy energy.
That's very flowing back and forth kind of thing.
Yes. And these aren't sharing anything. They don't share an element like we talked about. They don't share modality. So they're very, very different actually, but they're also just really communicating and flowing. There's a lot of stimulating too, because they're so different that they're really kind of bringing out aspects of the other one.
Yes, they're very like that. Yeah, because they don't share, but they're not always, but often in the polarity element.
Well, right. That is true.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So fire, air, earth, water. And so it's very harmonious in that way, because there's that give and take that you need. Yes, exactly.
Exactly. But yes. Yeah. So anything that you have sextiles in your chart with is really going to be something about you that is emphasized in your personality or in your life. Obviously, anything can be a place for growth, but it's not so much a place for growth as it is just a place where you really are comfortable or shine or something like that. A little more like a trine, but not exactly a trine.
Yeah, it's a little bit more, I don't want to say challenging because it's not, but it's a little bit more conversational.
Yes, I think it's like we're trying to explain this. It makes a little bit less sense intuitively.
Yes, right.
But so because of that, it's kind of even more unique.
Yeah,
and the way that it presents is almost God, how is that all working together? But it just is.
It just is. Yeah.
It's kind of like that kind of fascination.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's almost like checking itself in a way.
Oh yeah.
Right? am I the, and it's like, yes, girl, you are. And it's, I don't know. It's like almost like really balancing the energy really well. Cause it has a lot of that like opposing energy, but not in like an, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. It's a super interesting aspect. And I think, it is a little harder to define, a little harder to put your finger on. It can really be very unique. It can vary a lot. More because we're seeing such different things combining together or like communicating with each other. But I really like a sextile. I think, and also the symbol for a sextile is like a little like star asterisk thing.
It's cute.
It's cute. It's adorable.
It is adorable.
Like the square is just a square, you know what I mean?
It's just a square.
Yeah. I mean, no shade.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But it's not cute.
No.
No.
Not really.
Sextile's cute.
It is. It's super cute. So those are the main, and also a sextile has to be between about 4 or 3 degrees or less than that. So it has to be pretty close together. So like I said, just because something is in Aries and something is in Gemini in your chart doesn't mean they're sextiling. It just depends on the degrees and if they're within, 4, 3, 2, 1 or the same degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
Yes. No, it really is. So I guess that's about it, though.
It's kind of a lot. It's a little a lot.
It's a little a lot.
It's a little a lot. But, and there's even more than this that we did not discuss. There's more. And some of them have even like crazier names. And it's, you're going to be like, oh, you made that up. Like literally if we said it, some of them you're like, okay, now they're just like making things up. We're not at all.
No.
There are more. But I think that's a really good place to start to just kind of start looking at that nuance in your chart and that the flow of energies between things and that it's not just sign dependent.
Yes, exactly. And the more you know about like what each of your planets means in the sign that it's in, I think that is the really foundation to then once you've got a decent handle on that, then you can kind of start to look at these aspects and how it's like math, right? Like you got to learn to count before you learn to add. And so that's what we're,
Yeah, that's absolutely right. No, that's absolutely right. And looking at, I think it helps to kind of get even further away from the totally like reductive way that astrology is talked about in terms of compatibility. That is such a too oft used term whenever anyone is talking about astrology is the word compatibility. It's just kind of an empty word. Don't
even get started on all of the aspects that are created when you're comparing two people's birth charts to each other.
Lord.
So you have all these aspects in your own chart. They have all of whatever they have in theirs. And then you're making new ones, combining it. There's so much more at play than just so like, oh my gosh, like, Scorpio and Leo just don't get along.
Exactly. We disprove that even.
I know, that's why I use that
being
example.
Ourselves. And we don't even need to explain it. It's just obvious. And some of these things, even though they sound complicated when you start looking into them for yourself, some of these things are going to be obvious just like that. You're going to be like, well, I see the evidence of that right away. Or I've always known that wasn't true because of this other person that I love or care about, or maybe even things you thought you hated.
No, and I'll just say as an example, like, and I would have to look at the exact degrees because I don't know, but potentially our Venuses sextile one another.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, I think that explains a lot. And I would have to look at the exact numbers just because I don't know your degrees off the top of my head. But anyway, so interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah, interesting stuff. How cute is that?
It is so cute.
Oh, I kind of love that.
I know. Okay, well, this was a lot of talking about late night talking. So I guess we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Until next time.
Stay witchy, friends.
And stay dumb.